So for most of my life, I was the giver and I didn't know how to receive. And that was rooted in my attachment style. So, what are attachment styles? It's how we learn how to give and receive love. And it doesn't have to be romantic love all the time, platonic love from our family. It's just the language of love, right? It's how we process love. And we understand languages, it's our communication of love. And I just want to talk to you today about my journey of how I became a dismissive avoidant and transitioned into a disorganized avoidant, and now learning or healing into a secured attachment style. And it's just not my story, it's also a reflection or a mirror for others, or can be if you know how to receive, right? So I had to, one, understand, just like anything else, I had to understand and accept that I had a specific attachment style or understanding or language of love, right? And I had to heal through certain parental wounds, or authoritative wounds, right? And I had to learn how to receive unconditional love. So I was really good in giving it out, right? That wasn't the problem. I'm a giver, you know. The problem was having the discernment of, or willingness or openness, or being able to be open to receive it, to allow myself to process it and let it in. Because the moment I saw that someone was trying to give me anything, I took it at arm's length, like, hold on, wait, what's this? Anytime anybody came into my life, what are you here for? What do you want? What do you want from me? Because it all came from past experiences of hurt, or some kind of neglect or some kind of abuse. Because in the past, even though I know I gave, I never saw a healthy reciprocation from what I gave out. I was constantly being, used and abused. So I never saw a healthy reward for my actions, my kindness, my openness. So unfortunately, my narrative became the strong one, the giver, and I rarely allowed myself to be the receiver. So it became uncharted territory, unfamiliar, an unfamiliar path, an unfamiliar energy. And don't get me wrong, I wanted love. I want love. I am love. So, but I feared it, because what did it mean? What did I have to sacrifice in order to have it? I felt like I needed to earn love. And let me just tell y'all this, you don't need to earn love. You are deserving of it. It's your birthright. However, to even give a quick backstory, for instance, I have, like, for instance, my mother wounds, not just from my birth mother, but as well my grandmother, my aunt, the women in my family, including female friends, right? Because the relationship that we have with women stem from your mother. So consistently, because I consistently fought for attention from my mother from a child, I didn't know how to accept attention from women the correct way, because I always thought, there was some kind of ulterior motives, like, you were around me for some kind of beneficial reason. To give a couple of experiences that I had from my mother, because there were many. Growing up, from a child, I would go in for a warm embrace. Or these are natural things that you will, of course, accept from mother. I am an adolescent. I'm a young girl, single digits, 9, 10 maybe, going for a warm embrace or a hug. And it's like, no, get out of here. It's too hot. My house is too hot to hug your child. Like, you know what I mean? I never heard the I love yous from your mom. Or if it did happen, I don't remember. But, I remember waking up in the middle of the night, getting my tail torn in half, like, for reasons that of course would have been healed with a conversation. I wasn't the kind of I wasn't that child that needed the kind of physical discipline that was handed off to me from my mother. I just think it was her go-to based off of what she learned over her time, that's all she knew how to do. And again, this is my understanding as I got older. She was only able to parent me to the capacity of her healing, so to say, right? And unfortunately, she didn't allow herself to heal that much. From what I've seen, I did have an older brother. We are Irish twins, so our age difference is not that far apart. We're only 10 months apart, so we were born within the same year. And but I had to watch her show favoritism over there, and from again as I've grown older, I've learned because he was easier to deal with as far as emotions, because boys with their mothers are easier to deal with. He coddled her emotions, My mom is the youngest out of her siblings, so she had that younger child syndrome, and her siblings are all disabled, right? And she was the one who wasn't disabled at that time. My mom is now disabled, right? But during that time, she wasn't disabled, so she was neglected, her emotions was neglected. She was pushed out. And these are all things understandable, but as a child, I didn't understand those. And no matter how much I tried to get my mom to see me, she couldn't see me. Therefore, it put me in places to where as though I'm waving white flags like, hey, I need you to see me. And it bled into relationships as I got older, not understanding that was what I was doing, but that's what I was doing, leading into my teenage years, getting a boyfriend. And because I didn't have all this love, and my father wasn't around, he was physically and emotionally absent, right? So of course we have those kind of father wounds there, but I did have male figures. So even though he was physically absent, it wasn't as if I didn't have male figures around. So I had some kind of male guidance. They weren't the healthiest, but it was there. So it wasn't as if I was missing something there. So I don't have like all of those kind of daddy issues that would push me into promiscuity, or however you want to pronounce that word. But we all lead into certain paths, but I did have those father wounds to where as though I didn't understand what certain masculine safety and protection was when it comes down to emotions, right? So I knew what safety and protection was physically, but not when you need it for harboring emotions, right? So when I'm an older teen, I'm getting my first boyfriend, and unfortunately it was a very narcissistic he had very narcissistic traits as far as like the love bombing and all of those good things. I'm thinking, oh my God, this is the best relationship. But no, it turned out to be very emotionally, physically abusive. But I didn't know what I was walking into because, I was sheltered as a child because of my grandmother. She feared all things outside thanks to her upbringing. And again, these are patterns that stemmed from my childhood that shaped me walking into my adulthood, that left me naked, naive, unseen, and and vulnerable, in always more than one, right? And as a child, because I was so often ignored, or just left, oh, she'll be fine, because I was a little mature for my age. And when we go down to maturity, because I was able to take care of myself, I wasn't only taking care of myself, I was left in spaces to where, as though, because again, my aunts and uncles, they were disabled. So my mom and my grandmother were pushing me in spaces to help them, because they needed help with my aunts and uncles, as far as like helping them use the bathroom, helping with laundry. I'm helping doing adult chores when I should have been outside playing with my friends and friends, and playing on the block. No, I wasn't allowed off the block. I had to stay in close proximity, not only to assist with the household, but because of the fears that seeped through my grandmother's anxiety, and her wanting to make sure she had me in close range. So there was a lot that was projected onto me that didn't belong to me. So now I'm getting into my early 20s. I'm 18, early 20s. Of course, I'm working, but I'm thinking I'm doing all of the things that I'm supposed to do, where the whole time I wasn't being guided properly. No one gave me advice on how to live real life. They just let me go. I was a winged bird with no teachings on flight, right? It was just, okay, go, right? Did they teach me how to, I was taught, oh, yeah, you get food from the grocery market. You pay your bills at the check cash in place. Like, I was taught landmarks, but not destinations, right? I was, most of the information I got came from the word of mouth, based off of the friendships. You know, I'm hearing them through other people's mouths, right? I had to watch how other people moved in order to gain certain information, because it wasn't given to me from my household. And if you let them tell their story, it was, oh, so you can maintain your innocence. But even though their intentions may have been from a good place, it was, or to try to keep a barrier of my protection, their intentions actually caused me harm, right? The impact wasn't the greatest, and again, because I was left so blindly, or neglected, because, oh, Nina's smart, I'm book smart, right? Oh, she's mature. You forced me to be. I had no choice. But you left me in spaces to where, as though I was vulnerable, and you didn't assist me or guide me the way I needed to be, because you didn't want me to experience what you've experienced. But your experiences, if you would have told me correctly, it would have shaped me in places that would have been able to teach me what to watch out for, that would have perhaps kept me from certain experiences, such as sexual abuse, that I would have been able to clock from certain people, including family members, including my mom's boyfriend, And these are things that a lot of people, especially in Black households, that we don't talk about, because, they know these things go on, these things happen, but I think that it's easier for them to put it under the rug, because mental health isn't something that is often spoken about in the Black community, unfortunately. So, and that's how my mother wounds and father wounds shaped my attachment styles. So, because no one wanted to talk about pressing issues, and everyone wanted to push forward and smile with, you smile and keep quiet. That was mostly the theme in the household. Smile and keep quiet. You're fine. I was always too sensitive or too dramatic. I can still hear the words coming from my grandmother. Oh, please don't go to Hollywood on me. And crying was always indicative of weakness, not just for black men, but black women too. And again, I was the only girl being raised in the household back in my generation. So, because a lot of people like to say, a lot of people like to think black men aren't allowed to show emotions in our communities, but it goes for us too, because we're meant to be seen as strong and resilient, and it's like, no, I'm soft, I'm delicate, I'm fragile, I am sensitive, I'm very sensitive, and I should be treated as such. So, my emotional safety was played with, and it expanded my emotional wound, and my safety, security, and protection, and how I trust and loved was neglected, and that expanded my father wound. And the moment I realized that self-sabotage was at play was I consistently, especially like now that I'm an adult, was I consistently and I consistently push away love. And this is the love that I always wanted, because I don't know how to receive it, right? But I go to therapy. I do my shadow work. I continually do my spiritual practices. It's a part of my routine. It's my rituals. My community spaces that I'm in are healing spaces for me. They don't turn me away, no matter how hard that I get, no matter how dismissive that I get. And this is how I was able to turn my dismissive avoidant attachment around. Even though I'm a little disorganized at times, because I acknowledge my triggers, I acknowledge the shadow parts of myself, I am able to ask the hard questions and present myself in the hard ways. And I tell myself, regardless how I show up, as long as I show up, and I show up as me authentically, this is how I come in towards my secure attachment. So what stays, stay, what goes, go. And I tell myself I'm okay with that, and I give myself grace. So I learn how to sit with the discomfort when I'm receiving love, or when I'm receiving compliments, or when I'm receiving care. I apologize when I need to apologize, not just to myself, but to my loved ones as they are showering me. And I say thank you instead of deflecting. Because when it comes down to compliments, someone say, "Oh my God, you're amazing," or "Oh, you look so pretty." Usually I'll be like, "Oh no, we do." That's how I would respond to compliment. "No, we do. No, you're amazing." Like, I would deflect it and return it and push it back. And I saw that I was doing that, and that is a form of deflection. So now it's like, "Oh my God, thank you so much." Or I'll say, "Thank you for affirming me." Or I'll tell them, "You know what? I really needed to hear that. I really appreciate you for saying that." I've learned to take it in, because I do need that. I do need that nurturing. I do need that pour in, when I am, because I am challenged with a few mental health disorders, bipolar, PMDD. I have a couple labels, and I've learned to accept those labels, because with the labels, I am able to acknowledge the symptoms and the cure that is necessary for me to push forward. So that way I can tell my community and my loved ones that surround me, like, "Hey, this is the current space that I'm in, and I might need this, and this is what some of my triggers may look like. And I also let them know sometimes it may or may not show up as that. However, I don't want you to personalize it, because I've learned over time that it can happen in this way. So, and that's how I show up for my community, so that way they know how to show up for me. Because I know I need certain spaces like that. I found myself in spaces with people who saw me with the same loving eyes that I always have given to others in my past, and it's been so healing, and it's helped me rewire my nervous system in order for me to feel safe in receiving. So what I'll say is just be real. Even though it's still uncharted territory, I embrace it fully, authentically, and I will continue to share what is different now versus back then. It's a lot of people that's not here today who was there back then, because I understood that I was pouring into cups that had holes at the bottom, right? And I want to continue being open to receiving relationships that are transforming, not just within myself, but I want to grow my family, in my communities, right? So I encourage you guys, like, if you've always been the giver, just know that you deserve to receive love too, right? And just as like a gentle takeaway, your healing attachment style, healing your attachment style is possible, right? But it just takes some awareness and some compassion. You're worth it. You are worth it. And if this resonates, please share your journey in the comments. So of course, subscribe for some more healing conversations. And I really hope that I really hope that my story did resonate, because I have a lot more for y'all.